Hey engineering friends, it's Mr. Hare here, and I just wanted to share with you what I put in this little kit for you all in case you had questions about what is this. I would encourage you to just spread everything out on the floor, kind of like what I have over here, and I'll show you that in a second, and just take a picture of what you've got, because when I get that stuff back, I need it all back and I need it all in the way, kind of organized the way that you got it. So this is kind of it. Me spread it across the floor. I would encourage you to do the exact same thing. Take a picture so you know what you've got in there and what you need to send back. So I'll take you through some of the stuff that we've got in here. A couple sets of wheels. The insides, there's a square axle to receive any of the axles that you have inside. Some structural components here. These things are nice when they have a rectangular, so you can move your nut or bolt and there's a little bit of play inside of there. The same goes for this one right here. Do you see how there's a really long, the nuts and bolts will all fit through those things there. These pieces sleeve together, so if you want something to like linearly move, you can have these sliding pieces. I included some string around there. I burned the ends with a lighter, so if you cut it, it'll keep it from fraying. Inside of, you have a multimeter here. I'll try to include an extra fuse in case you blow one, but if you start blowing multiple fuses because you hook it up incorrectly, you'll have to go to Radio Shack to get a new one. And you just take the fuse with you. In order to get the fuse off, you take this rubber coating, it comes off, and there's one screw in the back side that you take out to get access to the fuse. And you'll know which one's broken, but you see which one's got the burned on the inside. Or you can just Google how to tell if a fuse is blown. Some other structural things. These are all the axles, like I said, and they all will mate with these gears and sprockets that you get. A couple different sizes of axles, a couple different types of gears, sizes. I have different types of M32, or I forget what they are, screws. On the bottom, these are called castellated nuts. These are the ones that you're going to primarily use when you build something. Over here, these are called KEPS nuts, K-E-P, and they have like a nylock. Oh, I'm sorry. These are KEPS nuts over here, castellated, and these are nylocks. There's a little nylon insert in there. So if you want to put a bolt on, a nut on that's kind of loose but doesn't rattle off, this is your horse. They're really difficult to get on and off, but they have their purposes. These are called standoffs right here, different lengths. They're threaded on both ends. This is a bearing, so if you want to run an axle through here, this is a right angle bearing, right? Pillow bearing, I think they call it. I've got some block bearings, so if you want to run an axle through here to kind of, you can attach these to some of your structural pieces with a couple of bolts and run an axle through there, because then you've got a square hole here, but then this makes a round hole and lowers the friction. And then lastly, I've got like a locking, so if you want to attach something rotationally, so see how that's a square centerpiece, so if you want to run it with a motor or an axle or something, this is a unique piece. I think you have like 3 of them. These are locking collars down in here, so they have like a little set screw that you can attach to axles. If you don't want the axle to slide out, you'd slide this locking collar on, and you'll see there's a little set screw right there that you can tighten up. Put it on the axle like so. Hard to do with one hand. I've got some spacers. There's 2 different sizes of spacers down in here. I've got 4 alligator clips for you if you need to do some electrical connections, which we will in unit 1.2. I've got a 9-volt battery. There's a motor here. This is your force sensor to pull on for activity 1.1.1, simple machines activity. This is the interface that goes to your Chromebook. This is a wire stripper right here, so you can pinch and strip off any wire if you want to make electrical connections. I've got 2 sizes of hex keys here. One of them is larger, and that will do most of the bolts that you saw, but this smaller one will do the locking collars. They have a smaller set screw inside of there. I've got a pull scale just in case you can't get anything up here to work. You can just go old school. But this is also, you got to be careful. This is in newtons. So when you do your conversions, you'll have to convert that to pounds. And you can just run that right through Google. When you pull, what's 1.1 newtons, turn that into pounds. There's a ruler down in here. if you want to take distances for your I'm a Deer ideal mechanical advantage. I've got some wire that you can use for your wire stripper to make connections. I've got a breadboard here. You'll learn about that, how to make connections inside of a breadboard. So if you need wire, you can just cut your length that you need and strip the ends and plug it into this breadboard. I've got some longer axles down here. The only things that you guys, I don't want you bending or cutting anything. You may not bend or cut any of my structural pieces. You're like, oh, I want an axle that's 4 inches long. Sorry, you got to deal with what you've got. These are the only things that you can bend. And I've taped them together and I wrote, these are the only things that you can bend. So you can cut and bend these, anything that you want. Actually, if you take a look over here at my bin of them, there's just all different sizes that people have mangled throughout the years. So you're welcome to cut and bend these pieces and these pieces only. A bunch more sprockets at the bottom. There's a piece of chain, and that chain will mesh with those sprockets should you need a chain. I've got weights in activity 1.1.1. There it calls for you to lift some sort of weight. So this is the weights that you can lift, or you can just pick up anything that has weight around your house. And maybe you've got weights laying around. Maybe you just take a sack of coins, anything, apples. It doesn't matter what you are, but you can weigh how much your load is with this, and then put it onto your simple machine. So this is what I've got for you guys. It's really important that you keep track of this stuff. This stuff is really expensive. Like the multimeter over there is probably 80 bucks. This LabQuest Mini right here, this thing's 160. These force gauges are 80. So it's really important that you keep track of that stuff and you treat it well, because I took inventory of all this stuff. I've got pictures, and I need to make sure that it gets back in that order. Throughout the year, I'm going to be adding to this if you need pieces. Like when we're going to get, I mean, if you look around the classroom, I've got tons more materials here. I've got motor controllers, there's potentiometers, light sensors, sound sensors, sonar, encoders down here, switches, light sensors. So all of these things are going to end up kind of in your possession when we get into the second quarter, which is going to be a lot of computer programming, and you'll get a microcontroller. A lot of the stuff that you see, I'm just trying to push home to you. And know that if you need anything, like if you're like, oh, I wish I had one more of these things, shoot me an email. You can stop by and pick up whatever you need at any point in time, and we can hook you up with whatever you need. All right, be good. Talk to you later.